All right, we're back for part 2 of the 10 things I've learned by being in business for 10 years. And if you didn't watch part 1, go watch part 1 first. It's episode 55. Then come back to me for part 2 because I'm going to share the goods. I'm excited to do so. And before we get to it, I just want to say that whether you are just starting your business or you've been in business for 10 years as well, or for 50 years, wherever you are within your business, I think that maybe all of these tips are going to be beneficial to you, especially if you're getting started, because I can save you some time. I've done some of the hard work. I can share what I've learned. But even if you've been at this for a while, I think that these can be really great reminders and maybe some things for you to try if you haven't yet. So wherever you are in your journey, I hope you find this helpful. Let's dive in. Are you ready to open up and talk about all things business? I'm Crystal Vilkaitis, a curious entrepreneur who loves talking about business, especially over a glass of wine. I started Crystal Uncorked to share open and honest conversations about my journey and talk to other entrepreneurs about their experiences. We pull back the curtain and talk about the highs and the lows. Wine isn't required, but is recommended. This is Crystal Uncorked. Okay, so I'm filming this in the same day that I did part 1, but it's later in the day now, so I did open a bottle of wine. And since I talked about Burtec in part 1, I am drinking a 2017 Petite Syrah from Burtec, which is one of my faves, as I mentioned. Definitely check out his episode on 34 if you haven't seen it yet. Let's do a little cheers. And I didn't say this. Oh man, that's so good. So good. I didn't say this on part 1, but I missed you. I have been not filming episodes for a couple of months. So if you noticed that and you missed me too, I'm sorry, but I'm back. But seriously, I did miss doing this so much. I just needed to take a break. And one thing I want to say before we dive into the rest of my 5 tips here, 5 lessons, is you got to listen to that. You know, sometimes if you are just feeling like you need that break, I've talked about that a lot on the show. Listen to it. And the thing that was really great about taking a break with this podcast is, and then I had to kind of remind myself, is that this is my show and I can do whatever I want with it. And I really needed the break to get some clarity on some things. So, and I also, in all transparency, I'm going through therapy. It's been life-changing and very healing. And I just really felt like I needed the past couple of months to have some downtime, be very inward and reflect. And so I did that. It does mean a lot to me if you are a listener and that you spend your time listening with me. So I'm sorry that there was a few months that was missing. But I needed to do it to be able to bring you some great content. So I'm really excited for what's coming. And thank you so much for your patience. If you noticed that I was MIA. All right. So let's dive in and continue the list with number 6, which is to have a support system. And also, you want to make sure that you have the right people for what you need in your support system. Now, I'm not talking about your team, okay? Not like the work support, but I'm talking about you as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. You need support. Running businesses, doing business, it's hard when you are alone and you don't have that support system. And if you're anything like me, I will just sit there with my challenges, with the struggles, with just going through the hard stuff. And if I don't have somebody the right person that I can reflect those things to, like throw them at them, get their feedback, get their advice, what have they done in those situations, or for somebody to be like, girl, you're human. Like, of course you feel that way. It's okay. It's totally okay. For that, either if it's advice or they've been through it, or if it's just allowing me to be me, that has been incredibly necessary for my success as a business owner. And I would say, especially over the past year, I've been really, really, really understanding that, especially like since I moved to Colorado, to be honest, because I have a lot more entrepreneur friends here. And I go to entrepreneurial functions in person where I didn't do any of that in California. And I didn't really have that entrepreneurial network in California. And so being here, it's just been really great because I'm able to just like share what I think sounds so crazy. You know, I will bounce from this idea and I think it's amazing. And then all of a sudden the next day, I totally am like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. And then the next day I'm like, actually, no, that was a good idea. Let's go do that. And then I'm like, actually, no, none of it's good. I want to burn it down. I'm on to something else completely. And when I am going through that, sometimes that can be good. Sometimes you can create innovation if you take your team through that. But really what needs to happen, in my opinion, at least for me, is that I need to work through some of that, talk it out with a friend, do some brainstorming, really figure out like, what's the right question to ask here? How am I feeling? Am I just like crazy this week? There's a lot of shit that can happen, whether it's the moon, it's our periods, it's, are we hungover? Are we just like the weather, family stuff that's going on? Like stuff can really impact us personally to where we're not bringing enough to the table professionally. And it can make you feel a little crazy and just not the best performer. And so that's why I say find the right people for the support, because for some of these things that I was going through personally, I was involving Pauline, who's on my team, who is my amazing friend. I totally consider her a very dear friend to me, but she is also my integrator, my COO, like running the ship, and managing the team. And she doesn't need to be taken through a lot of this, like back and forth, and this stuff that I'm going on personally. And so that's one of my biggest regrets over these past 10 years, is getting the support from not always the right people. And I just want to say, Pauline was always so supportive to me. It was her idea to say, hey, I think you need therapy, and even gave me some ways to find some great therapists, which was seriously life-changing. I can't say enough about it. And I can't wait to share some of the stuff that I'm going through, because it's been fascinating. And I have a feeling that other business owners go through it too. So she was incredibly supportive, but what it did is it created doubts in her head or insecurities in her head. And when, I'm just like working through my own shit. And then one day I show up and I'm like, I'm fine, I'm good. And she's like, what the fuck? It's like whiplash over here. How am I supposed to feel? Who are you today? Like, what's going on? But when I told, Christina, who is my entrepreneurial friend, where I felt so crazy, and she's like, yeah, but it's what is the thing? What is the thing? Pendulum. The pendulum swings. And maybe one day you're way over here and the next day you're way over here. But what starts to happen is it starts to slow down. It starts to slow down. It starts to slow down. And then you find the center. And at that point, or close to that point, is a really great time to get my team involved. But they don't need to go through the full pendulum swing as I'm working through shit, right? And I just feel like as a business owner, sometimes like that personal stuff you are going through can weave its way in to your professional life and throw things off. So find your support system, who believes in you, cheers you on, and talk to them, reach out to them when you're struggling, when you want to freak out, when you want to celebrate. Reach out to those people. All right. Number 7, you've heard me say this before, is to know your numbers. And sometimes I like to say, know your fucking numbers. I think I mentioned on the show once that I actually bought that URL, knowyoureffingnumbers.com. I might have let it expire though, because I'm like, what am I going to do with this URL? But here's a confession, is that I feel like I was not strong in knowing my numbers the first year. I didn't even know what I should be paying attention to until Patricia, my mentor that I talked about in part 1 of this, came along and helped me set up that spreadsheet and helped me set up the whole like tracking and just be really good with my numbers. So then I was really good. And then I would find these months where I got really busy or I didn't put the numbers first. And then I would like play catch up. And then I started realizing, oh, we're not hitting our goals and we're not hitting our numbers because I haven't been paying attention to them. And then I would say over the past couple of years, I haven't been as strong and as like detailed and connected to the numbers as I would like to be and as I should be. And so it's a learning lesson for me. And it's just something I have to get a little bit better on. And it's funny because I preach like, know your effing numbers. And then for a little bit there, I didn't know them as well as I should have, or, I'm like, quickly getting numbers. And then I'm looking at it very quickly and I'm reacting negatively when I'm not actually looking at a bigger picture or asking smarter questions or remembering like, this year we've been investing more money to grow the business. I'm trying to scale and grow the business. And that's through ads, that's through hiring, that's through upping our game with our brand and video testimonials and just all sorts of stuff that we've been doing. So I'm investing to grow the business. And in order to, kind of grow that bottom line revenue, you got to spend some money sometimes. And historically, I basically like the first 9 years, I didn't really invest that much money from an advertising perspective. I'm like lucky in the sense, I don't know if it's luck. I mean, it was hard fucking work. I spoke a lot. I traveled a lot. We have great partners. My team also, like Pauline following up, an excellent salesperson. We wrote so many sales emails, like definitely hard work is how we got our sales, but it was never really from investing any kind of money. So I've always been kind of a slower, like risk taker with those things. And so this year we've been turning up the volume. We're also doing our in-person conference Evolve, which is happening in April in Denver. If you're a retailer, check it out. crystalmediaco.com/evolve. We only have 200 seats available. So if you're a retailer, check it out. We're selling fast. But we have an in-person event. And so that is not cheap. That is a pretty penny, especially because ours is at the Gaylord Rockies in Denver, a stunning property. And so I would look at reports and then kind of freak out, but not look at the bigger picture, not get more data, not get more information. I didn't know my fucking numbers. And so when I know them, when I'm on them, when I'm in touch with them, I'm connected, I have this beautiful relationship, the business is hitting its goals. I am feeling more secure with where we are and feeling really just like comfortable and like we're on the right path. So that is number 7. You got to know your numbers, and pause for this wine sip break. Number 8 is you need to be human. I say this a lot at Crystal Media. You have to be human with your marketing, with your business, where you are showing who you are. You're being transparent, especially in the day in our world of social media. And I mean, it's so easy for people to get to know business owners now and to build relationships through social or through your emails within the copy, depending on how you write the copy, or within your text messages and building those relationships. And if we hide behind the camera or behind the phone and we don't show who we are falling behind the competition, because the competition is showing up. There are brands out there that are putting faces with their brand, and those that are connecting, like perfect example. If you have a dentist, you move to a new area and you're trying to pick 2 different dentists to go to, and you're doing your research. If you're like me, you're terrified of going to the dentist. Fun fact, I actually had a past employee of mine, Erica, who we just loved dearly. I had her research dentists in the area that had a very high review and narrow down for me because there were so many in the area. And she found me some really great people, but it was like, I did a lot of digging after she gave me a couple of people. And so imagine you got this list of a couple of top rated people, and now you're doing your digging and you go to their Instagram and their Facebook, and dentist 1 has nothing posted. Actually, let's take that back. They do have something posted. It's like a graphic that says, Happy Labor Day. Or another graphic that says, we're closed on Sundays. Or another graphic of a picture of Invisalign with an Invisalign logo. Okay, it's all like faceless stuff. Then Dentist 2 is doing a reel on how you're actually supposed to floss. And then there's also a quick video or a photo on there of saying a quote graphic, did you know you're supposed to floss before you brush your teeth? So they're adding value. Then we've got a picture of the staff because it's somebody's birthday and they're doing a birthday party. And then you've got a story of the dentist that's talking about what she did for a client that came in that had a cracked tooth and showing before and afters. Like, who are you going to pick? The faceless brand or the one that's giving value, adding content, and being human? We're going to choose the human time and time again. And if you have a small business and you're competing with any kind of big box or online faceless brand, you have to leverage yourself. You have to put yourself out there. People buy from people. We buy from people we know, like, and trust. And so you have to show up in your brand, but do more than just like showing up in front of the camera. I want you to really like write posts from the heart. I want you to write some of these emails as if you were talking to your best friend or your best client, your perfect client. How would you talk to them? Sound like you. Don't sound like a robot. Don't follow something that says, here's how to write professional written copy to be the most professional sounding business person in the world. No. Maybe if you're a lawyer and you really need that level of like credibility as far as how you're sounding, but be you. Be you. People want to hear from you. It's going to translate way better than if you're not and if there's just no personality at all. All right. I also just want to say something as it relates to the be you, or be human. That also means being available and there for your customers. And a perfect example of this, several years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I was at America's Mart, which is a big market center where retailers go to buy wholesale products. And I just had breakfast with my friend, Jess. And as I was leaving, this really nice guy kind of smiled at me as I passed him, almost like we knew each other. And I smiled back, but I didn't know him. And so I just kept going. And then all of a sudden I hear Crystal and I turn, I'm like, yeah. And he's like, Crystal, my name is Rusty. I watch your YouTube videos. You gave me a tip on how to grow my following on Instagram. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see you. Can I take your picture? And I was like, oh my God, of course. Like, way to make a girl feel special. I felt like, like a mini celebrity. And I was just so thankful that he watched the videos, recognized me, and said something because I could tell he wanted to say something, but he kind of kept walking. He was like, wait. And then he said something. And that's a perfect example of being human. He saw me from my YouTube videos because I put myself out there, added value. But also, I don't know, maybe a year or two later or something, Rusty and his husband Drew were going up the escalator and I was there too. And I was like, oh my gosh, Rusty, how are you? How are things going? Just getting to know his store, asking them like how market's going, just being a human, like just talking, like, catch me up, like what's going on. And he's talked about that moment, like how he was so surprised that I spent time talking to him right before I was to go on stage. And I'm thinking like, of course I did. I love talking to our retailers and to people. I'm very extroverted. I love networking. And so of course I talk to him. So be human. All right. Number 9. Oh, this is a big one and a tough one and can give you so much freedom, and happiness and flow in your business if you achieve it. And that's to know your strengths and your weaknesses. And then ideally we want to take that a step further and do what we're good at and not what we're bad at. Okay. I've talked about StrengthsFinder before on the show, but that is, StrengthsFinder is a test that you can take to learn your top strengths on where you are good and there's a book that goes along with it that kind of talks about like how to leverage those and how to be managed or manage people based off of their strengths. There's also what's called Colby. So I'll link to these where you could take a test to learn basically like what kind of worker you are. Like, for example, the one I always remember is quick start and follow through. There's 4 different categories. I think researcher is maybe one, but quick start and follow through I always remember because I'm a really high quick start. I'm a 9 quick start out of 10 and I'm a 2 follow through. And so it's good to know those things because quick starts get shit done. They're not going to wait to start. They're just like, okay, I've already created this. Here's this. Here we go. Go, 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 go. A lot of entrepreneurs are high quick starts. then the follow through means not that and I might be saying this a little bit wrong. If a Colby expert is listening to this, they might be like, well, there's so much more to unpack there. But this is some of the stuff that I've learned that really resonates with who I am. The follow through is, it's like to take it to the next, to take it all the way home, fully home, and tracking, making sure it's good, like the full project, which can include some of those details. That's hard for me. I need someone, I'm going to initially get it going, but I need somebody else to like then run and really get it going, because I'm on to the next thing. I move really fast. And then from an astrology perspective, I really got to know myself and have been getting to know myself. I really am into that stuff. So I am a double air. If you know what that means, you've got your sun sign, your rising sign, and your moon sign. And my sun sign is Gemini and my moon is Aquarius. Those are both air signs, and air can move really fast. And so I need to know that about myself so I know how to use it. It can be really good. My chart is very strong for communication, for technology, for predicting future trends, innovation around technology. A lot of things that I do with social media fall into that. NFTs that I'm really interested in. It's just funny that, I'm seeing how my chart lights up and the things that I am actually good at. But then you also, at the same time, you want to know what you're good at and you really want to use those. But then we also want to know those things that we're not great at so we can hire people to help support us. And something that I have gotten hung up on in the past and even recently, because I sometimes find it hard to delegate. Well, not even sometimes. I feel like it can be hard for me to ask for help and to delegate. I was not wanting to ask people to do the stuff that I suck at, that drains me, because I was afraid that they hated it too. And they'd be like, oh, I don't want to do this either. And then I was in therapy and also talked to some of my entrepreneurial friends, and I'm sure talked to like other people about this, Dustin, maybe even Pauline. And it's like, no, people might love doing that. Like, hello, it's the balance of the world. Just because you don't like doing it doesn't mean that everybody else is going to hate doing it. The other thing is that I am paying people. So I don't have, it's not like I'm like, will you please do this terrible task for free for me? And it's just funny that like my mind went there, but it's hard to ask for help sometimes. It kind of stems from this place of really wanting people to love what they do and enjoy their jobs. I won't get into the whole story. One day I will, but, Cliff Notes is I started this business and always wanted to be an entrepreneur because I grew up watching my parents just absolutely hate their jobs. And so I wanted to create a place that people love their jobs. And then ultimately I wanted to hire my parents. But I have a social media business and neither of them know how to use social media. My dad doesn't even have a cell phone. So I just want my employees to love their jobs. And so I feel like, if I hate it, they're going to hate it too. And that's just so the wrong way of thinking. So you have to just get really clear on what needs to get done. What can I do well and enjoy? What am I weak at? And try to delegate those. And here's the deal. Sometimes we have to do the stuff that we don't like. We might be good at it, but we suck at it. That shit's going to drain you. So if you can't find somebody to delegate or have a balance, because like, for example, I was doing so much stuff that just drained me that I didn't have the energy to do the stuff that I loved, like this show. I just needed that like balance. And so if you can do stuff that you love and then, okay, now I got to do some of the hard stuff. Okay, now, but I got to fill that cup back up and create that balance. It's going to help sustain you over time. It's going to prevent burnout, something I'm going to talk a lot about on this show. Something I'm becoming just very passionate about. And so burnout will absolutely happen for a lot of reasons, but one of those reasons is you're continuously doing something that you suck at or that you don't like doing, and you're not doing enough of the stuff that you're good at. When I speak and I have people come to me afterwards and are like, that was the best presentation, or you helped me, or you moved me, or they're in tears, that fucking shit fills up my cup. All right. Like I can do that all day long and I'm good at it. And so we want to make sure that we're utilizing what we're strong at. That's what's going to help grow the business and help you sustain your energy so you can grow the business. All right. Step 10. I might have said all right really loud, so sorry if I did. The final lesson is, man, it's a massive one, is you've got to build a team. In most situations, in most businesses, you cannot do this alone. Like I just talked about, the stuff that you're weak at, that you're not good at, we need to find people who are, so you can keep your energy going on the stuff that you're really good at. And in the very beginning, that's hard to do because you're just trying to survive and make money. So you're doing all the shit. I've been there. You're doing all the things. But the thing that's good about that is that it gives you experience in doing those things. So then you know what it takes and you know what to hire for. And so many people say, hire before you're ready. And in some cases, I believe that. And then in others, I don't. In the cases where you are just like so busy, but you're like, I don't know. I think I could keep going though. Like I know how to do this and I'm good at it. I don't necessarily like it, but I'm good at it and I can do it. You're going to burn out because you don't like it. Or if you're forcing yourself to do that stuff and you're busy and you've got the money to hire, you got to hire. Do it now before you go into burnout. Before you start having a bad experience, delivering a bad experience to your customers because you know, there's a bottleneck, you can't juggle all the balls, whatever it is. That's when we're hiring before we're ready. You're kind of like identifying, ooh, I could see this getting messy soon, so I'm going to start doing it now. The thing where if you're not ready is if you're not really clear on what you need. If you're not like very detailed on like, and you see exactly what this person is going to do, and look, if it can change, it can, you know, there can be gray areas. Some things can evolve. That always happens with small businesses. I feel like they might also wear a couple different hats. That's okay. But I think you need to get clear on mostly what they're going to do and how they're going to spend their time and how you're going to measure it. And know that they're successful and set up for success. And if you don't do that, then I think you're setting that person up and yourself up for failure, because then they get into the job and then it's kind of like, okay, do all this stuff, but you don't really know what success looks like. You're not really sure. It's not organized. And what if it happens to be, oh, I actually need all these things done, but you didn't spend the time to really analyze that and know, okay, I actually need these things done, which is actually a totally different person than what I thought I needed to hire. So in that sense, I wouldn't hire before you're ready. I would get really clear what it is you need, what those success metrics are, what does that person look like if they're really successful, and then get them in before you have a breakdown, right? Before things start breaking and getting messy. Invest in it. They're going to free up your time. It's worth it. They might bring more money in for you. It's so worth it. Really couldn't do this without my team. And I'm grateful because I have such an incredible team. So those are my top 10. And I just want to add in a bonus tip is, it's kind of a two-parter, is don't forget to celebrate, because if you're like me, I move fast. I'm air. It's on to the next, on the next, on the next. And there's moments when you stop to pause to say, holy fuck, that was awesome. Or that was like the best thing we did. Or that was like an epic testimonial. Like we need to stop and really like celebrate this. You don't have to throw a huge party about something like a testimonial you got. But at the very least, like reflect on that. Take a moment to celebrate it. Share with the team. Celebrate those wins. You need them to fill up your cup, because it is hard. It's hard work. There's so much that you're responsible for. And if you don't take those moments to celebrate the big or small things, slowly that cup starts to become empty. And then it's harder and harder to fill that cup back up when there's nothing. Where do you pull from? So don't forget to celebrate. Your team also needs those celebrations. They need to feel success. And the other part of that is reflect. So we can reflect and celebrate, but also take time to just reflect on all the things that you've done. Today in therapy, I sat there and there was a part of me that didn't realize all the shit that I've done. I'm doing IFS, if you've ever heard of that, internal family systems. And that type of therapy talks about the different parts that are within us and how they work and what they do for us and just how they operate. And sometimes they really help us and sometimes they don't. And sometimes they hold us back. And I had a part that didn't really recognize everything I've done over this past 10 years and beyond that to get here. I've been in social media longer than that. I had a business before this one. I worked at Stamp Retail. I built a lot. I learned a lot. I've been through so much over the past 10 years. And so I needed to reflect, to remember that, for, all of me to remember that. And it's important for you to do that too. And just keep in mind that even the small stuff really matters, because without the small stuff, we can't create the big stuff. We can't take the big leaps that we're wanting to. So, and have the big impact that we want. So reflect and celebrate. And let's just recap our top 10 real quick. So we've got, you got to get a mentor, always be list building, have a happy to help attitude that's genuine, give value, over deliver, find like-minded partners, have a support system with the right people for what you need, know your fucking numbers, be human, know your strengths and your weaknesses, build your team, and don't forget to celebrate and reflect. And one thing I just want to say too with team, it's really important to know their strengths and their weaknesses. So they can fill out Colby, they can fill out StrengthsFinder. You can get their astrology if they're open to that. But really understanding how they operate is going to help you be a better leader and help your level of expectations and success metrics and understand the tasks that you're giving them better. So it'll be a more successful relationship. Those are my top 10. Now, like I said, here's what I feel like is going to happen. I'm going to go on my day tomorrow. I'm going to be on my walk. I'm going to be walking this week. I'm going to be like, oh, I should have said this. I should have said that. I should have said this. If that happens to me, I'll share it on my Instagram. Follow me at Crystal Vilkaitis. I won't spell my last name. If you just type in Crystal and then VILK, you'll probably find me. You could also put in Crystal Uncorked. Crystal Vilkaitis account's going to come up. I'm just not posting on that Crystal Uncork account anymore. So make sure you're on the right one for Instagram. And I would love to know, out of the top 10, what do you think was the most meaningful for you to hear? What did you need to hear for your business with where you're at today? Would love to hear. And let's cheers, my friend, to 10 years. The final thing I'll say before we conclude this episode is, I talk to my team about how I want to be your biz bestie. I look at Crystal Uncorked and I'm like, where is the vision of the show? Like, what is the vision of the show? Where are we going? What am I doing? I really want to be businesswomen's biz bestie and businessmen too. I draw more of the women crowd. And so if you need that support, if you're struggling with something, if you want to be like, hey, I also celebrated 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and I need to celebrate, like, woo woo, DM me. I would love to hear from you. Any challenges, struggles, questions, celebrations, reflections. I'm serious when I say that. I'm happy to help. I want to hear it. And thank you so much for tuning into the show. I will see you on the next See You. Bye. Hey, real quick, if you are a retail store owner, I would love to see you at Evolve. This is my in-person marketing conference happening April 26th and 27th, 2023 in Denver, Colorado at the Gaylord Rockies, which is a stunning venue. You get to spend 2 days with me and my team and keynote speakers, as well as other retailers looking to evolve their marketing, business, and lives. It's an intimate event. We only have 200 tickets available, and we've already sold out. We've sold a lot of those seats already. So this event will sell out. Do not delay, because we have special pricing depending on when you hear this and when you sign up. And I would love to see you in that room. So go to crystalmediaco.com/evolve. That's crystalmediaco.com/evolve to get your ticket. And I would love to see you there. And thank you for listening to this episode. Bye.